Live from the Real Guppy Dockside Learning and Multimedia Center. It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. And now, here's your host, Community Kevin Brannon.
So anyway, we're already jumping into this great podcast today. We have Michael Tripp, the Channel Islands Harbor Director, a good friend of the program, a friend of ours since as long as probably, I don't know how long you've been. I know you were recent when you first came in and you came walking in here and you brought Supervisor VNA Lopez in here, and we got a really good connection and just everything that is going on in the harbor with stuff, redevelopment and construction happening. You got our support, man, and you've always been really supportive of us. You come to our open houses and stuff, always communicating, and pretty cool dude just to chat with, man. So happy that you're able to come in and take the time to do the podcast. There's some big news. There's a 60-year anniversary going on, and and when people come in again, so this is the Channel Islands Harbor Director Michael Tripp that is our guest today, and we're going to talk about some things that he brought in on his list, and then a couple questions. Last time we interviewed you, it was kind of more middle stages of the Carl's Land development and things going through that, and going through the Coastal Commission and learning some of your history of what you did before. It was Marina Del Rey.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. And then you came up here and you had a lot of success down there. And we always thought that, again, just meeting you and talking to you and listening to you, even at the Carl's workshops, that you're always transparent, and it's just always been a pretty good relationship, man. So thank you for your time. I know you're busy, got a lot of stuff to do. So again, this was one of the ones we're really looking forward to on our calendar, man. So welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you. Hey, thanks for having me. And yeah, I definitely appreciate what you're doing out here. And I've been on here just about 4 years. It's going to be 4 years in October, and I'm happy to be here to celebrate the harbor's 60th anniversary. The harbor started in Memorial Day 60 years ago, and so what we're doing this year, we're going to have several new events. We're bringing back some stuff like a Chowder Fest, and we're actually going to have a fish fry coming up in July. And so we're really excited about that. What we're trying to do is
when in July.
I believe it's July 17th. Yeah, July 17th. And that's going to be at the Maritime Museum. Yeah, when they first opened this harbor back on Memorial Day, they did have a fish fry. And so when we were looking, hey, what could we do to make this year, more special and more fun? We said, well, let's bring that back.
So what does that get into? I know you got a lot to talk about, but so if I'm dating a lady or one I think has, I think I had like 3 girlfriends in my life, I always lay it on them. There's 3 things that Kevin looks. I always think about if we go on the Newlywed Game, right?
Yeah.
Just a couple of things you should know about me. 1, my favorite song is the national anthem.
Okay.
If I go offset. And number 2, my 3 favorite foods: chicken wings, buffalo wings. And I'm telling you, if it's not a boneless wing is not a wing, I'm willing to fight for that. It's just a nugget.
Yeah.
Spaghetti and fish and chips. So this is a fish and chips fish fry.
It's actually gonna be fish tacos.
Fish tacos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fried fish.
I'm not sure how they're preparing it. They're calling it a fish fry, so I'm assuming they're frying it. But
that's where I got the idea of fish and chips. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to start writing these down. And we need if we can get us one of those calendars, man, we'd love to share it in our newsletter and stuff too, again, cross pollinate, as we say,
Yeah. So this one's July 17th, and it's going to be with the Maritime Museum. They're going to have a speaker series where they'll have people come out and tell you about the history of the harbor. So it's definitely an event I recommend you should check out.
Yeah, I'm writing that down. So we get back from ICAST the night before. We were going to go to Channel Islands to take our kids out to Santa Cruz, but they're booked. So we had to do it for August 2nd. I just bought the tickets today. So now that opens up our 17th. So yeah, you will see me over there enjoying some fish tacos. And plus I'm a history buff, man. I don't know if you remember what I said, as far as local history and other than I try to make history. I'm not always oh, this is the worst time ever, but I won't go down that lane about historical facts. But when they put in the shovel, when they start to do the construction, all I asked was that I get to be in that picture for historic purposes, right? So my grandkids could see the Carl when they developed this area, I was showing the kids the other day. We went out, continuing our partnerships in the Channel Islands Harbor. We went to the CSUCI Boating Center on Saturday. We took about 8 people out kayaking, and there was a picture of Bud Smith in there, and the dry martini. I was giving the kids, about, when he had the building down by the Esplanade, and developing this area. So this area, I'm really into the history stuff, the bards, the Scots.
Absolutely, yeah.
The port, we were talking off before the show started about the dredging and all that stuff that goes on from your port. I mean, your harbor and your, the city of Oxnard to Port Hueneme. But anyway, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, just on a side for the history, we're working on getting ourselves a headquarters right now. Right now, my department's located in trailers, and so we just about have the plans completed. But one thing we're thinking of doing in there is having something there to honor the bards, because without them, we would not only would we not have Port Hueneme, we wouldn't have this harbor either. They donated the majority of the land on this side of the harbor.
What is his grandson, the one that comes out doing his history? Will he be one of the speakers there at the Maritime Museum that day? Do you know?
I don't know. I'll have to ask them about that.
I know he was there for your and then I seen him somewhere else when he was looking for you. I think we were at the presidential thing with the Port of Hueneme.
Yeah.
At the golf course, whatever. And I was like, hey, this guy wants to talk to you. So it looks like you guys connected. And,
absolutely. I told him a little bit about it, but we haven't gone into any deep details about what we're going to do. But I think that'd be a good thing to do, just to have some history up on the wall there.
Right. See, I told you we're real pals right here, man. And we're going to go to dinners together, and they're looking for them. I know who to point them out and connect them and stuff. And this has been quite the year for us. Like we were just talking off, from DC to it, because I really look like, again, running for harbor commissioner myself in about 4 years. So learning all this history, again, not just for my own facts, but I really want to be a part of the development and the growth. And that's something we've always talked about, not just the Guppy program and what we do with the families, but how could Community Kev be a part of the community out here as well, because grow up out here and the importance of our harbor and bringing tourism and making this modern day. So what modern day things do you have coming down, any, as far as like the development for Carl's or anything else you want to get into? What else is coming down the pipeline here?
Yeah, I've got some big news on Carl's. Basically, the Coastal Commission
exclusive
right here. Yeah, just last week, the Coastal Commission reached out to us, and they said that our application for the Carl's project has been deemed complete.
Woo!
And so what that means is that they're going to be setting a hearing date now, and we're asking them to put it in August, because August is a local hearing. They'll be out in Calabasas. And so that'd be great for the community. You'll be able to come out and say what they have to say about the project. And if they don't do it in August, it's going to be, all the way up in Northern California. And so at Fort Bragg.
Yeah. So how do we, do you need letters of, support or anything from us to be like,
absolutely. Yeah. You want to send the Coastal Commission a letter saying like, hey, we'd love to see this in August.
Well, I know I sit on the board with a couple of them for the SAC committee. I'm on, and so is Jed. What's the guy's name that's on there from the Coastal Commission? Oh my God. But if I see it, I'd be like, hey, that's him. But he's there, tall gentleman. Anyway, I think we have a meeting at the zoo in a couple of weeks too. So
cool.
If I could try, but man, that is some freaking good news. I know over here we have it up there because we do hear from Carl, from Axel a lot that comes in here and keeps us open. And I think he said, hopefully by January that the bulldozers will be in here, you know? And it's cool because when our doors open, like how you found us, and again, that's why it's good to meet with you like this to get the info. Because sometimes we're like the visitor center right here. We're the only door that's open. So people walk in, either lost looking for the bathroom, wondering what we're doing, wonder what's going on. They used to live here or something, but we get a chance. I'm able to like kind of fill them in on what's going on, and from a excited standpoint, So if I could fire away some new, information that's going on, then I'll, like I say, I'm like the national or the corner spokesman right here in the wharf.
Like the ambassador of the harbor, right?
That's it.
Oh, well, we appreciate you doing that, helping out the public. Right. Yeah. And so that's really exciting. For people who aren't familiar with that project, it's really going to revitalize, this area. And we think it's going to, add energy to the whole harbor. It's going to be new shops, new restaurants.
I think that adds just the harbor, but to Oxnard itself, again, in this area, a lot of us that live on this side of, let's say, 5th Street, right? We feel that Oxnard, everything is by the collection off the 101 freeway. There's nothing on the south or the west,
Yeah.
So I think it'll help vitalize Oxnard, you know what I mean? Like people to come to this side of town versus, for that, but just in a whole nutshell. So that's kind of what you're saying, but I know that this side is desperately needing something,
Yeah, because since I moved to Ventura, 4 years ago, one thing I've noticed is there's not a heck of a lot for people with families to do, and so having something like that, I think it's be a good thing to get people off the freeway, come down here and have some fun in the harbor.
And showcase it, and so in Port Hueneme, me doing the I was on the board of Chamber of Commerce over there, right? The director, and we were trying to figure out how do we get people to Port Hueneme. And it didn't really take off too well, but it's something that we've been talking about too. Like it's at the end of Ventura Road, you got to go all the way down there. We have this hidden gym. So now that I do the Guppy program, I know that we're one of the biggest tourism attractions there. Some people come to our kid day. We have our data stack over there, starting to import all of our real numbers to see. I was looking at some of them yesterday from Bakersfield, LA, the surrounding cities that come to fish on our pier that don't have no idea that there was even people from as local as Camarillo and stuff that didn't know that had no clue that there was a pier there. So that sense of bringing tourism down, and then knowing that for every tourism dollar, how much of that dollar could go to taxes, right? You stop and you get Carl's Jr. on the way out, or you get gas up the street and things like that. Kind of with our fishing, with the sea bass biting right now, and us releasing the sea bass on Monday, is that one species of fish really brings tourism, that one fish, sea bass. So getting intel on all that. So I know that's going to, again, vitalize this whole area. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And fishing's a big part of this area. Down here are local sport fishers. They get about 40,000 customers a year.
I'm going to keep that one. I got a radio interview
it's just incredible.
On Thursday. I do the KBT. I'm going to bring that up. That's why I'm Community Kev, folks, because again, not just the fishing guy. I'm in the fishing industry where you work on the tourism side. I've been on some booths for that to get people down here for the coastal tourism, educational community, but really involved in this because it all has a synergy that works together, right? For us to, for we live in a coastal community but all the little entities that are going to win. Again, when I was on the Chamber of Commerce board, like all these different motels and all these different industries that really generate revenue and business and commerce for it. And this side of town can really benefit from it. Yeah. Or it's going to benefit, definitely. I should say.
Yeah. And one other big event I should mention, 4th of July fireworks. If you want to see the fireworks, by the sea and you're in Ventura County, Channel Islands Harbor is the only one that has it. And one of the reasons for that is because a lot of harbors in history, they've put like a platform out in the ocean and they'll shoot the fireworks off of that. Well, those fireworks come all right back down in the ocean. So the Regional Water Quality Control Board, they have big issues with that. And so they contacted all the harbors who were doing this in California and told them, hey, if you're doing this, we need monitoring. We need to know what's going into the water and what you're doing to clean it up. But fortunately, we have the military base next to our harbor. And so we don't shoot rockets that go back into the harbor. All those fireworks, they go up on the military base and they come back down. And then we have a crew go over there and clean them up afterwards. And so, there's no damage to the water quality, but you can come out here and enjoy the fireworks by the sea.
Cool. And if you want to get on a boat to see that, I go on the Gentleman, 805-382-1612, Channel Island Sport Fishing. That's where Community Kev works on the Gentleman as well. And they actually take you out on a platform. So if you want to watch them from the water, you could get on a boat and watch them from the Channel Islands Harbor itself and other boats that are going by in traffic and have a cocktail and do that stuff. Now, I got a question for you. Sure. Because we know that does bring in tourism. And Stephen Gama, city councilman for my name, he said, hey, how about you Guppy kids? Would you guys like to come and do we were thinking about joining forces with him. I told him we just got to get some logistics down, but going through the parking lot the next day to help get rid of all of the tourism left behind. Is there any thought of having more dumpsters or trash cans out for that particular weekend? I think as I see people, it looks like they try to attempt to leave garbage tied up by the trash cans, but the seagulls and everything get to it. It's like they make an effort, I see, from most people. There's always a couple of jerks that just don't care. Yeah. But is that an idea? Because I was talking to Steven, if you had dumpsters down here, or is that the county thing or a city thing to put dumpsters out so the tourism that do come in to enjoy it have a place to put more of those trash bags when they're done?
Yeah, I mean, in the harbor, it's our responsibility. So if there is an issue, we could put more trash cans out there.
And we'd help do the cleanup,
That'd be great. Right there, yeah. The next day is a big day, as you can imagine, cleaning up all the trash that gets left behind.
I was here again last year being a resident, but I looked, like I said, from a visual perspective, like people made an attempt to bag it and put it there. It wasn't like there was just wrappers all over, but some of the seagulls do start to tear into the bags. Sure. So those bags are maybe placed in some dumpsters, and maybe we could help sponsor one or two, but we'd love to. But he called me, Stephen Gama, and said, hey, would you be up for this? I'm like, okay, but we got to be realistic, because if we're just collecting the bags, like, where are we going to put them? Yeah. Like we have a can over here that hardly gets utilized, we dump our dumpster stuff. But if there's a way we could collaborate on a beach coastal cleanup the 5th, we'd be all over it. So
great. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that, because that's definitely something we could arrange. Yeah,
because it's a great place, man, and people do want to enjoy it, but we just have to have the proper means to handle the influx of that, because it is a great thing to see and do.
We get a huge crowd out here, and so if you want to come see it, basically anywhere in the harbor is a good place to be, but especially along Victoria Avenue, because they are shot off at the Navy base there.
Pretty cool, man. You just post up and watch them, but come down for the day too, go to Silver Strand, hang out on the beach, make a day of it, Yeah,
it's a beautiful place to be, especially if you live in, one of the warmer areas of the county. You can come back down here and get some great weather.
Is it 7 to 9? I wrote down that on my, do you know the time?
Jed, do you know the time?
I know it gets dark a little later when they start shooting them.
No, it's live. Give it to me quick.
9 to 9:30.
9 to 9:30. Yeah, so come down and make a day of it. Barbecue and just respect respect the turf. You know what I mean? If you do come in, if you're listening to this,
absolutely.
Do your best to what is it? I remember watching this Reading Rainbow episode, and all the stuff that I do because I'm a Reading Rainbow kid is like pack out what you pack in.
Yeah,
yeah. If you bring it in, bring it out.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
But come down and enjoy us, man. Come check it out. Stay for the day. You got the museum to check out, the maritime ship. You could kayak during the day. And what I was going to say about the 4th of July, when we were, there's a lot of maritime that goes into the 4th of July too, man. Fireworks, like the purpose of fireworks are really celebrating, a lot of it's tied into maritime history too. I do know that part about history.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, yeah, it was something that I've read recently about, the fireworks and how they celebrate and their connection to maritime and celebration and victories and stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. And also, of course, boats, will use flares and stuff like that, when they're in trouble, firework type things. But yeah, one more thing I wanted to
keep it coming, man.
Another thing I want to mention.
Brother,
yeah. We've got a new playground that we're going to be building out here. It's one, I don't know if I've showed you a picture of it before, but it's an octopus attacking a pirate ship.
Oh, wow.
And both the octopus and the pirate ship are going to be, climbable. Pirate ship has got a couple slides coming off of it.
Where are you going to put it? Peninsula?
Over by Marine Emporium Landing on Harbor Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have that long Harborview Park right there, right? And so this is going to be like right at the beginning of Harborview Park. And we've been working on this for, heck, the original design goes back to 2015, but we started working on it a couple of years ago.
You just came in here and just started like taking care of business. Give me the knuckle line. He just came in and was like, you brought CPR to our area, man.
Yeah, well, so the good news on this one is that just yesterday, our Board of Supervisors approved the funding for us to get a new contract. And so we're going to get these plans drawn up, the final plans, the construction plans. Then we'll be bringing them to the building department, get some permits. We'll be putting this out to bid. And so, expect to see that in about a year.
See that? Look at the smile. There's nonstop like excitement. And again, I'm all for it, man. So when I do we have a little floating laboratory now, our little boat that we take out. And so I've been doing some little tours, a couple people on the boat on the weekend and kind of give them a history of us. I used to ride my bicycle down where the rudder room is at. Me and my brother, he would take me fishing and we catch little opalite perch. So that was like one of my first experiences in tide pools, right? Yeah. To what we're doing now and when I became a nerd. So and you go around that corner and then the sea lions are there by the rudder room as we go towards the mouth of the river, the mouth of the harbor, and hang out over there. But to tell them like, this is where we used to do this and things we used to do that and how, so I've really been in this harbor since I was, we would ride our bike at like 12 years old from Wainimino, right around the base, and hang out in here and fish and all that, man. So to see it being reconstructed and I know the potential and watching it grow. And even when I like drive there and you see all the families like fishing into the harbor or when you see the kiddie beach full of people or those couple little beaches that are on the inside of the harbor on low tide and people, it really warms my heart, man, to be like, look at people really enjoying absolutely this little stretch right here, man.
Yeah. And, we've got projects going on all over the harbor, like the parking lots over on the Harbor Boulevard side, they're in pretty rough shape, but, we're working on a project right now to get those replaced. And also, speaking of, Kiddie Beach and Hobie Beach, we have plans to renourish the sand there. And, it's going to take time.
Well, you guys already did the parking lot there. It's already,
Yeah, we did that one. And we did the one at the Silver Strand parking lot. Yep. And we did some work in the launch ramp as well. When boats were getting pulled out of there with all the water that was coming off of them, if you don't go to the place where you can wash off your boat, it was damaging the asphalt there. And so we put a big piece of concrete. So when boats do pull off there, it's coming on a concrete, so it's going to last a little longer.
Tell you, man, they hired the right guy, bro.
Oh, thank you.
That's how you got a Michael Tripp groupie over here, like, cool. But I mean, like, it's just incredible, man, to hear it and see it. But you could also tell from talking to you, there's like a delight for you,
Oh yeah.
You don't have this, you know what I mean? Like you're always just so full of excitement, of what's going on. That's why I say when I went up there and said what I had to say about you up there. And even for me, talking, man, in front of them, it gets a little intimidating.
Sure.
When you stand in front of them and they're like all up here, you know what I mean? It looks like some old gladiator movie or something, and the Roman, you know what I mean? And you have the Republic are sitting up there and they're talking to you and you're like down here, even as community Kev.
Right.
And even the HBCA ladies that came in and said, they didn't know who you were and try to set a trap for you. Can you believe she said that?
I couldn't believe it. It made me wonder, what was the trap?
Yeah. That's how bad you are. So that's what they said openly. So HBCA, they work with us, help us raise funding, right? Renee and Debbie and Sandra, they help us out at the yacht club. We raised like $15,000 this year. It was pretty good.
Fantastic.
And again, so many different partnerships in this little area that we have and what we're doing and support that we get. So we give so much support back and just collaborative efforts. We were at the 60-year anniversary. They gave you a couple of proclamations, right? from the city of Port Hueneme, the city of Oxnard Mayor, I believe, was there.
Yes.
Vianna Lopez is our district supervisor, and you just had support. But so HBCA gets up there, Debbie, and she was like, "We love Michael Tripp, but I'll tell you honest, when he first got here, we set some traps," and everybody kind of just like giggled and froze all at the same time. Right. But they commended you of the work that you're doing. So it's not just me being a groupie. He does get a lot of support from those that were weary because of how many things have been misdirected or didn't follow through. Like you said, you got a playground that's been sitting there for what, 9 years almost then, if it was 2015 you said.
Yeah, about 10 years, right?
And here you are again revitalizing it. So it was good to even hear people that weren't worried or whatever confessing that kind of I don't know how you take that personally, right? But to see that they're on your side now just shows the support, man, of everything that you do, man.
And I'm trying to be very transparent with the public, and we've done that, the entire time. And when that Carl's project first came out, people, were very worried, like, oh, you're going to have a Magic Mountain out here or something,
I remember.
Giant roller coasters. And so what we did was we had, those meetings. I know you mentioned that you went to one of them, but it was where we actually got to, talk to people one-on-one and explain to them, exactly this is what's actually being proposed. It's not what you're afraid of. And, we were able to turn the people around. And so
I think I went to 3 meetings. I went to the opening meeting, right? And I'll tell you, it's a little, when you see your building with a red line in it, it kind of makes you like, whoa, that's my spot that they got circled and crossed and X'd out, But it was them, Carl's, right? And then you had the folks from across the way that run the Ralph Shopping Center. And then the third person, I don't know where they were from, but they didn't have really much of a presentation. So it was I thought it was going to be between Ralph's and the guy that does the shopping center and that. But when they displayed it, they did have to showcase what they've already done. And that's where people are like, oh my God, look how, are we going to have roller coasters at that? And what's it going to bring? But they can only highlight in, what do you get, 10 minutes per presentation?
That was about right.
And then they had the little stations where you got to walk around and talk to them.
Yeah.
And so I went to that one, and then you had a couple that you did at the boating center itself too. So I did go to quite a few. And again, being transparent, modifying, making it, again, I think it was a really, it was done properly, I think, right? There was one lady, right, that would come and just make up some stories, you know what I mean? Like I said, that's why I said with the people that litter, there's always going to be 5% of people or 10 that are just a little extreme, But I think you guys did a great job of really meeting the needs and hearing them and coming up with their realization of what they could do here. And it was, I think, handled very well.
I mean, you're definitely not going to please everybody. And, so what we're trying to do is, make the harbor the best it can be for the most amount of people. I mean, so my big goal out here is to bring, low cost recreation. I want people to be able to come to the harbor and enjoy themselves and, spend as little as they have to. It's really easy in this business, to put in apartments, because there's big money in apartments. The harbor department would be making money from, the rent that we get from them. The developer, is easy for them to get loans for things like that. But when you put those in, I mean, you're shutting off a portion of the harbor to the general public. It's only the people who are living there that get to enjoy it. And that's not what I want to do. I really love harbors, and I love being by the ocean, and I want, other people to be able to experience that as well. And so, our goal is to bring people down here, and that's not necessarily going to be popular with people who just want this to be a really quiet place. So you do what you can.
We do that in Hueneme. So again, going back to my days on the board and, being there my whole life, is that, it was sold to law enforcement, people that are retiring as a quiet community. So when they would try to do a beach soccer event or something like that, the residents would show up and be like, you sold us a quiet neighborhood to buy a house in. Now you guys want to add excitement. And some people don't know that part of the story. So again, when they say this hidden gem, it's like, no, it's really not hidden, because it was sold previously on that. So those people are aging out. They're using maybe as an Airbnb, the Surfside one and stuff. But originally, again, they wanted a nice, quiet place. So when you try to add entertainment, they're going to show up at the meetings and block it, because basically our version of HBCA, right?
The
Hueneme Beach Community Alliance. But they would show up and say, now we want to put a stop to any kind of entertainment that you have here. Have you ever heard the two things? One of them is not only that you want it to be happy, but wasn't the deal like 20 years? So it's like sustainable, it's long. It's not just you're selling it to somebody years. and there's empty. I thought it was a great idea. There's not empty facilities there that's going to be run by one family. So it's not going to be like vacancy, waiting for somebody to come in and do business. Like it's going to be a full run the whole time without a possibility of vacancy.
Exactly. That's the big advantage that they have. if you just build a strip mall here, which we could, right?
Mhm.
But then the strip mall operator, they're constantly, going through restaurants trying to find, people who can actually, make the business work. And so it's difficult. And you do see, like you're saying, those vacancies. Whereas Carl's, they're in control of everything. So if something isn't working, if some product they're selling is not popular,
Yeah.
they change it. If
Yeah.
a restaurant's not popular, they can change it. They're in control of all that, and it just makes the whole thing a lot quicker.
I think that was genius. And that's one of the parts I talk to people about. Again, the
Mhm.
thought process, the classiness, the transparency, but that vision of not just having a strip mall that had, with that possibility. So again, again, in longevity, when they're committing to 20, 25 years,
Yeah.
it's not just, we're just the property managers and, kind of a thing. So I thought, again, just so many factors to that. There was a second thing that I was going to say about that part, but I forgot. So if I remember, another longevity, the Carl's thing, and just the thing of Ventucky. Did they ever tell you about Ventucky before you moved
Ventucky,
here?
no.
You never heard the term Ventucky?
No, but I mean, I've heard people use that kind of thing for for Palmdale and stuff like that.
Ventucky.
So
it's
they
a
call us
little bit,
Ventucky?
Yeah, you never heard. Yeah, so it's a
No.
little country, right? So
Okay.
we're a little. That's what I mean. Okay, we don't want to be like LA. We don't want to be like Orange County. Keep all that down there. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. But then it's like they don't want. So are we Stone Age or are we modern? Right.
Right.
Like they want to gradually move into the modern
Mhm.
era. 10 years behind everybody else is already up. Right. So
Mhm.
facing that here of the people that that quiet community people.
Yeah.
But okay, so do you want it to thrive or do you want it to look like this? And then you're complaining about that, right? Where do you get to meet somewhere in the middle? But
Right.
it's a slow, stubborn process because again, you have the old Ventuckies that want, still like the agriculture and the tractors, which of course we do, right?
Yeah. No,
There's areas where you can't even build. There's so much land you have to
Mhm.
keep, but you still get that mob showing up to try to prevent anything or that mindset of us moving because again of the Ventucky syndrome.
Right. Yeah. I love seeing the fields as I drive to work every day. I think it's beautiful. But this area, it's already has the the zoning to do this type of use, and so it's not like we're kicking out a strawberry farmer. And that's another interesting thing. Speaking of strawberry farmers, is that the group that wants to build this facility, Carl's, they're actually strawberry farmers in Germany, and they live in an area that's very similar to Oxnard. As far as geographically, it's the ocean right next to strawberry fields, and so they've been coming out to Oxnard for years, and they're excited to come out here because they consider us the strawberry capital of the world, and so that they'd like to put something out here because they love strawberries so much.
And I think if it's right, the grandfather used to come out here. The connection was he was getting growing tips and stuff from the farmers out here. So he was already coming out here to get the knowledge to grow the second world's biggest strawberry because we all know the best strawberries are going in the Nard. But anyway, they could have the second best out there. But that's again, that's the full connection of somebody a transplant, but have been here for a long time. So it's again, everything just seemed ideal. What else you got on there? You got a whole lot of lists. So let's not just get stuck on Carl's. What else?
I got a lot of stuff.
Us,
yeah, well, starting on July 12th is our summer concert series.
Are those Sundays? Or Saturdays?
July 12th. Is that a Saturday, Jed?
Saturday.
Yeah,
okay,
Jed.
Perfect.
Yeah, Saturday, July 12th is when it starts, and it goes all the way to August 30th, and so that's over on Harbor Boulevard, and it's free concerts. Come check those out. We got a lot of good bands coming on. And also this year, we're going to do something a little different, because 60th anniversary and all, is we're actually going to have a concert on the sea. And that's going to be September 6th, where we're going to have a boat in the middle of the harbor, over by the turning basin. It's going to be a band on there, and boaters going to be able to come up, drop anchor and, listen to some music on the water.
You know what kind of band it's going to be?
I don't think we've chosen the band yet. Have we chosen the band for that one, Jed? Classic rock.
Cool, man. But the reason I was asking Saturday, because I work on the boat on certain Sundays, and my kid fishing day, so I want to make sure I attend a couple of these.
Yeah.
Like the last couple of years, man, I've been working on a boat to supplement my income as a director here.
Yeah.
Well, now I get a full-time salary and all that stuff, so I don't have to work every weekend. So Kev's trying to pencil in, all the things that I've sacrificed and lost and missed out on because of necessity. I want to attend this year, so good to know that I could catch those on a Saturday and listen and hang out. Even bring up my little boat, man. I got a boat now. I'm gonna pull up.
Awesome.
What's up? Come on, Guppies, get in. Let's go listen to some music.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of great things, going on in Oxnard. I'm actually on the Visit Oxnard board, and so people, want to know what's happening, what you can do around here. Go to their website. And there's lots of fun events coming.
What is that? Visit Oxnard?
Yes.
Visit Oxnard if you're checking it out. Is there a website for the people that are listening to get this information too? Is there a best place for them to follow to get all these up to dates? Visit Oxnard? Or
well,
Channel Islands Harbor?
You can go to the Channel Islands Harbor website, or Visit Oxnard. Yeah,
can you drop those in
Google them? Yeah,
Scotty will put it on the bottom of the podcast.
We put the events that are of course in the harbor, but they have stuff going on all over Oxnard. Yeah, it's a great resource.
When you walked in right now, what I was putting together, where we have putting our little calendar together. Tomorrow we have a financial literacy class here with Ventura County Credit Union.
Oh, nice.
And then Saturday the Harbor Patrol is going to come down and let the kids fire the guns and do all that stuff. So
fire the water cannon.
Water cannons. There you go.
We don't carry guns.
Not the pew pews, but the
yeah.
The water cannons. But again, see how we really got it going down here, man, with all the fun stuff that we could do in the Channel Islands Harbor, man. So that's cool. What else we got on the show? Some music?
Chowderfest.
Chowderfest
is coming back September 14th. And this is one, I already bought tickets for it. This is one where since the day I got this job, people were coming up to me saying, why don't we have Chowderfest anymore? So we talked with the Maritime Museum and they're going to put on another one of them. Yeah.
So we have the Maritime Museum is putting on the fried fish taco event, and that's the 17th.
That's right,
July 17th.
Yeah.
And then September 6th, we got the little concert on the water. And then the following weekend, we got the Chowderfest at the.
That's right, 6th annual Chowderfest. Yeah, things are coming along. And I mean, just a couple more. I mean, we've got tons of things happening this year, but just a couple more that I'd like to mention. We're doing a Parade of Frights again. That's October 25th. This is going to be the fourth one. This was Jed's idea to actually have a Halloween-themed boat parade. Yeah. And it's getting bigger every year. It's really cool seeing how creative people can be on
Do you know if they're going to do anything? I know last year they were trying to do something here in our little, they set it up, I think, with OPAC in the Performing Arts Center, had some props and displays. And Carl, so do you know if they're going to do anything like that or attempt to try that again?
They would like to. Yeah, they did something. The last one wasn't over here. They actually set up something over on a Harbor Boulevard, in the grass over there, Harborview Park. And so they had a pretty cool setup over there.
Like a trunk or treat or something?
Yeah. We have a trunk or treat as part of that. And they have things where they can teach you about art, paint kids' faces and stuff like that. Yeah, we really enjoy working with the OPAC. And yeah, I remember seeing you at the Festival of Wales. Did you see the mural that was there?
No, I was stuck at 2 booths. We had 2 booths that day. We had one at the at the boat center, and we had one at the Maritime Museum. So I was at 2 booths, and then when we were done, but I did see it via social media. So I didn't get to walk down there. I should have, but no, I loaded up our stuff. And
yeah, of course you're busy. Yeah, well, basically, the OPAC, they have a talented artist over there because they have to build sets, right? They have to paint the sets, and so they have one woman who she's done it for the last 3 years, where basically she will outline an image on this huge mural, right? And then she'll put in certain numbers, and it's like paint by numbers, where they'll give you a blue canister, and it'll have like a 2 on it. So you go over and you look at the mural, and there's wherever there's a 2, you paint it in there, and it's been really popular. It's turned out really well. Yeah,
that's pretty neat, man. That's real neat. We thought about this wall behind here before we put the pictures. There's a shot of an underwater, and we thought that would have been something that would have been cool, but we ended up putting our own artwork up there. But that's got to be pretty color by numbers and having the community put it together. I did see the one on social, and it looked really good, man. So that's a freaking great idea. And
yeah, it's great seeing people do that. And speaking of murals and things like that, one thing we did, we have a local artist out here called the Rock Fairy, right? And she's a person who she's painted utility boxes and stuff like that, to make things just look a little prettier. And so we contacted her because we have a playground in Peninsula Park, which by the way, we need to replace all the equipment there. It's old, but this playground had this this large gray concrete wall behind it, right? And we were thinking, hey, we could make this look better, right? And so we hired her to come out and basically painted the whole thing blue, and then she put a bunch of sea animals and mermaids and stuff like that on there, and it looked really great. And so now we're looking and trying to think, well, where else would be a great place to put a mural out here? What could we do to make this look good?
A little wave. Got to put the Instagram post up.
All right.
So what'd you guys come up with?
Well, I'm thinking about the wall that's over there by Hollywood Beach. We have a yard over there that we keep our equipment in, and that wall I think has great potential to put a mural on it. And also over at Kitty Beach, there's a big wall where the bathroom is, a big white wall. And I'm thinking, what could we put on there? Kind of cool scene could we put up there? And yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential out here in the harbor, and we like to bring art to the harbor. But something interesting that I found out when I talked to the county. What is his title exactly? He's like the director of arts for the county, right? He's one who gives out.
Is he on the art council?
What's that?
Is he on the art council?
I'm sure he is. But yeah, his name's David. But when he came out to the harbor, because we were looking for grants to put art everywhere, and he was looking at what we had, and he said, this area is actually one of the most dense areas in the county as far as public art goes. We've got like murals painted on the side of the Maritime Museum and on the side of the boating center. And if you looked in front of the boating center, there's on the ground there's a great map of the Channel Islands out there. And so we've already got a lot, but so you can always get some more, right?
That one shot like you're talking about that's on the side of the Maritime Museum is incredible.
It's
when you
beautiful.
walk down that way, dude, it's so like stop you in your tracks and take a look at it, and then that shot because we were trying to direct some traffic to the boating center on Saturday. The participant family, they thought we were at the pier that day, so we were here waiting for them to go over there, so we went to the because you just had the water safety boater safety course that was like last month, right? So we always have a family every cohort that we're always waiting on for the fun stuff. Anyway, they went to the pier that day. So I said, okay, meet us over here at the museum. And I was like, okay, when you turn left, I had to give them the museum direction because I thought it was easier for them to find the location. I didn't know the number to the boating center. But I told them when you turn, you're going to see a beautiful picture on the wall. You're going to see the Anacapa Island with the Tamal, right? And they're crossing and stuff. So that's why I kind of told them how to look out for where they were going, and they found us. But
good.
Yeah, that artwork over there, like you talk about, is cool, man. You could just see it. And so for that, the art projects, because I'm an artist. Is there a way to open? I know the city like a Port Hueneme, they just did one for the library where they took bids in. Would you go about that? Is there a way to put people that are just like, let's say OPAC had a couple of artists that they would do that for them without just as a contribution to it? Do you have to get a certain permit to do any of that work, or how would you?
Well,
maybe not the big ones, but some of the other smaller.
Actually, something we were thinking about was doing like a call to artist, where we just put out on our website or social media, like, hey, we've got this wall here. We'd like to see something. Come to us and tell you what what you think is possible, and then we could hire you or whoever to go and paint that.
Yeah. I like more visual art, but I do like the art stuff. I'm an art nerd. I work with Carolyn a lot. We want to use our little floating laboratory boat as also a platform for artists to come out and get pictures or paintings of the sun setting from the breakwall, or look at sailboats or pelicans or sea lions or the great blue herring. So I want to partner with her. I was watching. Anybody else fall asleep watching Bob Ross videos on repeat on Hulu like me? So I put on Bob Ross to go to bed, and I started getting more ideas. We've talked about it, me and her, back and forth about ways for us to collaborate. Because what we say with Guppies is that STEAM, you had STEM, but we add the A, whether it's for angler or for artist, because I do video art. Again, as a filmmaker, I fall into the art category, photography that I do. But how do we collaborate and get more art stuff going? And how could we open up our doors to artists too, not just the fishing part? So that was some idea. So I texted her like at 10:30. I'm sorry it's late, but I got this idea watching Bob Ross. Let's get together. And especially right now that it's summer, if they had some kids that could come out during the week, we could, I mean, our boat's not getting used as much as I would like it to be right now. So if we could do some cool collaborative art, let them, take photos or take some canvases or something and just sit out there and let the kids paint on them, is something that for art that we're trying to and that's the best thing. If you need again, with our area and so much of a melting pot for culture and art and maritime and all these things, that a lot of times you do that, just put a call out, on our social media and or networking and partnering, that we're able to bring our resources together, man.
Yeah, and there's tons of inspiration for art around here. I mean, that's just gorgeous sunsets. And
you ever see Jed's pictures, like where that one when it snows, right? And then you take it from over there and you could see like it's just incredible, right? Both ways. When you're going over the big bridge and you look that way, or if you're out on the harbor and you look back towards the sailboats and you can see the Ventura Mountains, and then the snow's up there.
Oh, that's incredible.
Bro, it's like
he's taken some great ones, especially some of the aerial shots he's got with the drone. Like we had huge waves, probably about 8 months ago, and you could see them coming into the harbor, and going over the breakwater. And it's just an amazing sight.
Pretty cool, man.
Oh, another great one that we got that's on our Instagram was, so I've been living at the beach for 20 years, right? Like I've been living and working. So I've seen lots of stuff in the water, but the first time I ever saw this was when he caught it, was actually sea lions, body surfing in the waves, which was just a very cool sight to see them out there having fun.
Isn't that neat that you could be, because I was just at Santa Cruz Island over the week, I worked Monday, I posted these videos. I posted one from Anacapa last week, and I posted one from, and I was like, let's take a trip to Anacapa. Let's take a trip to, especially now I'm doing a lot more work with the marine sanctuaries and the foundation. So I'm capturing a lot more just Channel Islands island stuff to post and tag them and share with them. But it could be this many years, you know, I've been out here since I was a kid, but I get to those islands and it's still just as fascinating. So same with you, right? So you've been on the water for 20 years and you still
still things that surprise you.
Or just
still enjoy it.
Right? Enjoyable, where you're like, we call it vitamin C, people. So if you're at home, SEA, vitamin C, come down to Channel Islands Harbor and get you some. Go out to the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary and get you some. Go to the Wainimi Pier and get you some. But make sure you come and get some vitamin C. And one thing that what we talk about, what we do is because I sit on different boards. So I chair a lot of this diversity stuff, right? And they always try to bring up boundaries and they try to make it always an economic breakdown. And like we said, Carl's for people to come down and just do it. Like there's so many things that you could do down here that don't cost anything. You could ride your bicycle. Again, if you do want to rent a kayak, it's reasonable, right? There are things that you could purchase or extra recreation that you could spend money on, but you don't have to have money to come down here and enjoy what we have. It doesn't cost much to get a $7 sub, get the big 3-footer from Ralph's or something, and a bag of chips and some drinks, and go down to the beach and hang out and go to one of these parks right here. You could see the sea lions, you could see the birds. So again, for relatively cheap family recreation, that's a lot of stuff that we like to talk about, family engagement and community. And again, that way, when they try to come in with the sorrow side of, oh, they're not getting, people aren't getting a chance to enjoy it. A lot of people get to enjoy this sea life. So it doesn't matter if it's a Baywatch moment where you got sunscreen on and you're there, or you're out capturing a giant, billfish in the middle of the Channel Islands Harbor. There's a lot more ways to enjoy this area besides the, I guess the more epic. So don't let that, deter you from thinking you can come down here and have yourself a great time at a reasonable price, or some things are priceless too, right? Those memories that you catch.
Yeah. That's what we're working on, is getting, future customers here, have people bring their kids down here. Kids enjoy it. They're going to bring their kids down here later. And that's actually a very good point, is that, parking's free out here. And so I think it's difficult to find beachside communities where you can go park at the harbor, at the beach, and
you
it's
park at
free.
my name, you better get a pass, because that lady will get you. That lady.
Right. Yeah. And we have,
for sure.
And we have, great beaches here, just a little north of the harbor. There's that, beautiful beach in Oxnard, which, for the third time, it's got voted the best beach in California. Yeah.
With Zachariah Dunes now.
Yeah.
And again, so if you're listening or watching and you've been here, and there's so much parking on either side, you have parking in our lot, you go over the bridge, there's parking that starts from Corinthian Yacht Club and goes all the way down to the rudder room. There's parking lots that just pull over. So again, if you go down to Peninsula, there's parking over there. There's a park over there where the kids can hang out. There's a public dock over there. So there's all these little pockets that you could pull in, park, and hang out. So whether you want to, again, lay on the beach and have the waves crashing at your feet, that's a a couple hundred yards away, or if you just want to be on the intertide side and look at sailboats and see that side, there's plenty of places again to just pull up and grab. Too, when we did the harbor lights this year too, how many people, because I work on the gentlemen on those cruises, are like on the beds, like there, that little area, there's Seaplorium, and then there's the next part, but there's like that little spot that like wraps around in front of the waterfront right there. It's like a piece of cement slab that comes out, and just seeing people just hanging out there. And then over by the seaport, and there's, notice the other day, I never noticed that mammoth.
Oh yeah.
I noticed that mammoth like about 3 trips ago.
I don't know why it's there, but I've seen it too.
I was talking and I looked, and we had to pull up over there because again, as we have our little safari, I'm finding cool little areas to take our passengers in to give them history of the Channel Islands Harbor and one thing we're doing, we're almost done here talking about fishing with Stud In, is this Monday is the sea bass release. The gentleman donated their time to meet with the CCA and SeaWorld Hubs and the Channel Island Yacht Club, and we'll be filming it. We're going to release the white sea bass that are in the sea bass pens that everybody's catching right now. I don't know if you know this, the sea bass right now is probably one of the best in a couple of years.
Oh, I didn't
know that,
no.
The overnight boats are getting out. The full day boats are getting out. Some of the half day boats are getting to them because you need fresh squid to get out there.
Yeah.
But the sea bass bite this year has been just phenomenal. Besides the weather blowing like on the weekend where there's gale force winds like last weekend, other than that, man, the fishing out in the Channel Islands right now is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
The catching. Fishing's always good.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee the catching.
Right.
But the catching this year, man, has been super phenomenal out here. And those sea bass pens that we're going to release on Monday, again, that's another collaborative effort of entities in the Channel Islands Harbor with Hub SeaWorld coming up here, and some other fishing agencies to continue to keep that fishery going. And we're going to release them on Monday. Instead of letting them out in the harbor and letting some of the sea lions and pelicans have first dibs at them, we're going to put them on a boat and take them out, and then flush the bait tanks, and then we'll let them out.
That is a
outside
good
the
idea.
harbor.
Yeah,
So,
I know the sea lions are waiting anxiously for them.
oh yeah,
They
they're
probably
licking their chops
know
already.
what day you're planning to take them out.
Oh, they'll line up the sea lions, the pelicans. Everybody's like, all right. It's like one of those. You ever see National Geographic where it shows the dolphins and the cormorants coming together, and then it shows the big blue whales showing up, and it's just this big orchestration of anchovy destruction, you know, but they do know where to be at. Like they have a nature. That's when I talk about the God stuff, there's no way that their biological clock, you know, or whatever is just comes together and they know where to be at, you know, and they're there.
Yeah, they're incredible. And yeah, sea lions are very smart. At the old harbor where I worked at, you know, we had bait tanks there, and the sea lions, when the fish died in these bait tanks, they would float out, right? And so sea lions would go under them and blow bubbles to try to get the fish to come out. You know, it's incredible what those things can do. But actually, speaking of fishing, another project that we're working on right now is our commercial fishing marina is in terrible shape. You know, docks last about 40 years, and our docks are about 60 years old, and so they're way past need to be replaced. And so we put out a request for proposals to see if
there he is again. Look, fixing something else. It's way past beyond. But go ahead.
Yeah, to see if somebody wanted to take over those docks and rebuild them. You know, that's part of the deal. Is, you know, if you want to take these docks, you got to rebuild them. And so a big company that does lots of docks called Suntex, they won the request for proposals. And so in the next couple of years, you're going to see those docks be replaced too.
So the other day too, I tagged. So what we'll do, we're by the commercial dock, and when I was in DC, the panel before me was about commercial fishing, and I work with Dave, you know, Cockler and stuff. Again, understanding how this business works in fishing and commercial fishing and recreational. Right, we're not like before. Maybe years ago, it was more us versus them type of a thing. Right, recreational. Where now we're a lot more because we have, like you say, go to DC for policy. Right.
Yeah,
we're
stronger together.
Policy, right.
You know?
So. We'll go over to the dock that's next to us, and we'll collect little sea creatures that fall out of the nets and die or whatever during a haul, and we'll put them outside. Like when you walk outside right now, you'll see a bunch of stuff we collected. And anyway, dude, there was like 4 boats, man. So I made about 4 videos. I tagged you guys in a couple of them, but it was showing what it looks like at 4 o'clock when you have all these different fisheries come in, from urchins to white sea bass, shrimp, sea cucumber. I think there's 19 fisheries here, 19 or 21 commercialized fisheries that come out of our backyard. So I wanted to make those videos and share them, and I put them all through the Guppy page, but to showcase what it looks like up here at 4. It's something to see, man. At 4 o'clock when the boats come in. I mean, you might have seen movies like, or you see TV shows like Deadliest Catch, or what's the Wicked Tuna, or you've seen a movie where what's that one where they go out to sea and he dies? Batman, what's his name? They go out fishing in the bank, in the bank, in the Grand Bank, and they don't make it back. Anyway, when you hear these stories about fishermen and stuff, Perfect Storm. There you go. But now we don't have that back here. But that might be people's only glimpse into what a dock looks like, and the sound of the birds, and the boats coming in, and the thing coming in, the fishermen and their slickers and stuff. You know what I mean? Looking like Gordon's fishermen. So I wanted to share that to just showcase again, because people don't think. Again, as part of the panel, when you think about harvesting, you usually think like agriculture, not so much aquaculture or your sea fish. And one of the things that we were talking about on the panel was trying to get people to eat seafood more a month, you know, maybe eat seafood twice a day. So we just did this video out here that we have uploaded where we caught some fish, but part of it is not to keep our demographic, and you have to be an angler to like our TV show. So we did one with all of Ventura. I got some of their products. Me and Scotty went down there. We did an oil tasting. We did the podcast live from there. And then we cooked it right here. But part of that is just showing that you could purchase locally caught fish and cook it at home. Don't let it intimidate you, because most people eat fish when they go to a restaurant. How do you purchase it at the meat market and bring it home, or a local fish, you know, from the commercial guys themselves? But that's like an experience too, to come down and see that, know where it's caught at, see the guys that are people that are making a living, just like, again, like we talked about the tractors and harvesting strawberries. And in our area, man, there's the harvest of on land, and then you also have this fancy harvest in our backyard, man.
Certainly is a rich area. I mean, and I don't mean rich financially, I mean just rich in resources.
Hey, the Chumash knew what they were doing, man. That's why it's when we get to talking, and it's like they weren't just these savages that were living in little huts, man. They had it figured out to live in harmony with this, how they grew their vegetables between here and the Cespies, and out to the islands, eating abalone and sea bass and giant black sea bass, you know. So they had a pretty prime. They knew what they were doing when they were posted here. They were just just surviving out here. They were really thriving in this beautiful area. And you could see again how many, and again, there goes the history of Ventura County, from the lemon orchards and all that neat stuff, and some videos you're going to see coming from us of a collaborative effort of showcasing all that stuff coming up pretty soon, man.
Yeah, something interesting that I read, speaking of the Made Americans, is I heard that Wainini that was a meeting place for them.
It means resting place.
Yeah, I mean, it was a meeting place for them. Even back then,
Yeah.
it's always been a place where people would use, to access the waters.
Resting place. So that Wainima was the word, but so you would get these different cultures, and then they would share their stuff. You got the guys from the island, and the sea, and then the Thespians over more like Fillmore, and they would elderly, which is interesting because now the port is this area that ships, where you have on roll on, roll off,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we're the gateway again. It's just like a lot of full circleness of this little area that we live in. So again, check it out. If you guys are listening, haven't been around here, Channel Islands Harbor has a bunch of stuff going on. Again, there's a farmer's market that we have every Sunday in our harbor to come down and talk to local fishermen, get some produce, candles, clothing. That's always a very successul thing that goes on too.
Yeah, it's a great market, and we'd like to expand it to have more fish offerings there. Oh, and something I forgot to mention when we were talking about what you can do on the 4th of July. In addition to the fireworks that we're going to have, at night there's an electric boat parade, and there's also a family parade where people dress up in patriotic outfits and go down Harbor Boulevard.
That's a pedestrian type parade. So one's on the water. The light one is on the water, and
there's an electric one on the water, and then there's one where just normal people and golf carts are doing that too.
Dang it! I think this is the first time I'm gonna miss. My buddy invited me to VIP Dodger game.
Oh, is that right on 4th of July?
Yeah. He's like, you want to go? So I made sure I didn't work the boat, but I didn't know all this other fun stuff. But it's against those cheating Astros. He's an Astro fan, so I got to go out there and remind him that don't let the fact that Channel Islands Channel Islands Harbor is a great place to visit distract you from the fact that the Astros are cheaters. Okay?
Oh yeah, and just a couple more things. Did I mention Chowderfest? It's coming back.
You did mention Chowderfest. Got it here. Yep, I got it here on the 6th, right? No, the 14th is Chowderfest. The 6th is the live band on the water.
Yeah, and December 6th we have a food and toy drive. We've been doing this for I think the last 5 years.
We'll be there. We'll be helping again.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's really successful. A lot of people come out and bring toys and food for needy families out here. And lastly, December 13th is going to be our 59th annual Parade of Lights.
16th?
No, December 13th.
I'll be in this again. I gave up some, like I was telling Scotty, or it might have been you, that getting in on some of the stuff that I did work on the boat. Like again, giving up this first 4th of July, I've been hat off. I've been working the boat. And I think this Harbor Lights, since we have a boat, I think we're going to bring our own boat out, man. So
oh, really?
A little Brannon family tradition. We're going to start our new family traditions of our own little boat in the harbor for this harbor. And we're decorated, and there's always a theme to it too, right?
There is. And have we released the theme yet, Jed, or can I tell him?
Exclusive, man. This is real angler exclusive stuff you guys get right here.
Yeah, it's
first.
It's a Rudolph's rockin' party. That's what it's going to be. Yeah,
really.
Yeah. So, we're working on the poster right now, and it's pretty cool. It's got Rudolph, like an Elvis outfit.
Yeah.
He's got the Elvis hair and everything like that.
I like that. So we always leave with a little motivation. We're almost coming up on an hour, so we're going to wrap it up. Anything else you want to?
No, I mean, I think that covers it. I mean, it's always a good time to come out here, and going to have a lot of good events this year.
Come catch some memories out here in the Channel Islands Harbor. We're always open. We have extended our hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays until 8:00 now, doing rod building and stuff, and our guest speaker. So we're here a little later on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But the Rudolph thing, right? So here's my motivation for the week, right? I always tell people this story. I give them the Rudolph. When you come to the Dockside Learning Center, you remember there was because nothing's impossible. Like you see our little logo right there. Anything's possible. Nothing's against all odds. So when I talk to people about kids and today and what we're doing or chasing your dream, I'm like, you ever watch Rudolph? I'm like, there's that one that he doesn't want to be an elf. He wants to be a dentist. I'm like, I'm the guy that holds the window open for him to escape, right? And everybody's like, no, you're an elf. We just make toys. We're just hard workers. That's all we do. Just get to work. I'm like, go be a dentist, bro. So that's our motivation, man. Whatever is on your, whatever you're thinking about doing in life, whatever, as far as passionately goes, right? You could tell from you have a lot of passion, love what you do, right? Make sure you do what you love and love what you do. And also make sure that you take time, like we talk about, we say vitamin C, that if you're at work, you're not just there to work to pay the bills. Like make sure you utilize some of that. Some things are priceless, time with your family, time on the water, vitamin C, your own therapy, out in nature. And we have all that right here in our backyard, so come down here, spend some time with your family. Again, if you're stuck in a rut and you're like, I'd rather do this, but what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? If you start to feed your brain the what ifs or the what ifs, it goes wrong versus what if it all goes right? Try to put your brain that way. Because again, in the movie, they all needed a dentist, right? When they had to put together the abominable snowman, remember he pulled his teeth out or something and he thought it was tough. But again, be a dentist, man. Don't be stuck in a box. Don't just do everything, if you don't get family support, like, no, we're just hard workers and this is what we do. Think about, doing things super gigantic, man. And that's just kind of my quote for the day, like Rudolph, since you brought up the Rudolph thing, I always give that comparison of like, don't let anybody tell you this is all we do. This is all you should do. If you feel ambitious and you want to go after it, again, I'll hold the window open and I'll shoot you some positive reinforcement and some resources, and go out there and do what's in your heart, man.
Yeah, that's great advice. Don't let anybody set your limits for you.
Nobody. No limits, baby. Like a soldier. All right, this is Barry.
All right.
We're going to say goodbye. Scott, anything you got to say?
No, I'm good. That was a great podcast, guys.
And next week, you want to check out, we have another great podcast guest coming in. I'm not going to give it away yet, but you definitely want to check out next week's podcast. A lady I know from the gym that I met there, author, empowering women. Again, that same thing I just talked about. That's what she lived. She went through like 40 years in Farmers Insurance. And she has a really good message in a book about the same thing I was just talking about as far as empowering people's mindset. So we're talking about mindset next week and going for the big stuff. Man, thank you so much for coming in again. I appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you're a friend of the bus. You're a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys have seen Donnie Brasco. He's a friend of ours. All right. You guys have a great day. See you next time. Let's go.
To learn more about Real Guppy Outdoors, please visit www.communitykevin.com. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.